Hey y'all, joyful Saturday. I know this one is different because you can't see my face, and it's also 3 o'clock in the morning. So I was sitting in my living room, and my husband was gone, and my daughter was at my in-laws' house, and it was just me and my son. And I was like, I should make a YouTube video today, but I didn't feel like I knew what poem to say next. I was just like, I don't really know what poem to do, Lord. And with the previous poem, I had a dream about the Pharaoh in my life, and then when I woke up, I saw a Moses movie, and it was on the part about Pharaoh and the bloody waters. Mind you, I didn't put this movie on. I literally woke up from the bad dream that I was having, and it was just on the TV on YouTube. So I was like, all right, I think this is a little push to go ahead and talk about that poem, If Fear Was a Friend. And then with my Soft Girl Hard Heart poem, I had seen one of my sisters in Christ post about Ezekiel 36, which talks about the heart being hard. And so I was like, okay, that should be like a push to go ahead and push out that poem. But I wanted to push out another poem, or I was thinking about it, but I was like, I really don't feel a push, really, Lord. Like, I don't know if I should put one out right now, and I don't feel no push. And when I was into the numerology, the numbers seem to give me signs all the time, what to do, when to do it, how to do it, things of that sort. And so now that I'm out of it, it's been hard at times to find out how to do things, just simple things, because my mind had become institutionalized to a certain point, because everything was black and white with the numbers. But now I have free will. I'm not controlled. I'm not a slave. I'm not in Egypt anymore. So I was tired. I was getting ready for bed, but I've been reading this book, and I was on day 20, and day 20 was called Go Set Ready. And it talked about how we'll never really be ready to do the things that God has called us to do. We'll never be ready for that new job or being married or whatever it may be. This was what the man was pretty much saying. And he was saying that sometimes we want a full revelation of the final destination, that it hinders us from making that first step. And when I read that, I was just like, oh, is this a way of showing me that I need to just release the poems and just trust that all things will work together? I don't need a play-by-play blueprint of how to do all these things, because I'm like, Lord, I want to be led by you with everything I'm doing. I don't want to just do it out on my own, but I also have to trust that he can work all things together. He can work out all things together. So that means that no matter if I do put out poems and it seems all over the place, that he can have that poem reach who it's supposed to reach at the time that it's supposed to reach them. So this is a little backstory of why I am here today. And today I wanted to come to y'all and talk about motherhood, because this past week almost, my daughter and my son has been sick, but they've been recovering now. My daughter had a fever, and my son, we had to take him to urgent care and then to the hospital because he was wheezing and he couldn't breathe that well. They had to do 3 treatments on him. They hooked him up to oxygen one time, and then they did it another time, but he became very irritated the second time, so they took him off of it. They had to suction him twice. it was just a lot. And as I was going there, I was seeing how bad it was just by how everybody else was reacting. Like the ladies at the front desk, even when I was first checking in, she was like, he doesn't sound good. And then it was another, I think it was maybe a patient's mother. She was out there in the urgent care waiting room. She was just looking at me and my son like something was wrong. And then the nurse rushed to the front and he was just looking like something was wrong. And I just started to cry because I was just seeing that, wow, something is really wrong with my baby. And I never experienced that with my daughter. And as we was going to the back so that he can get the help that he needed, I was crying and the nurse was asking me questions. And I was like, I wasn't able to answer the questions because I was so in my emotions. I was crying. But then I realized, Anissa, you have to get it together in order for Jace to get the help that he needs. And as I was kind of thinking about it, last night this happened. And so as I was thinking about it, well, not last night, but what was it? Thursday night this happened. As I was thinking about it, I realized that in those moments when I am someone else's advocate, I have to make sure that I'm together in order to speak up for them. And it made me think about, of course, this process of justice, me making sure that I'm together so that I can speak up for the other people who may not be able to speak up for themselves right now. And so that's just what I thought about. And I thought about motherhood and how it can be hard sometimes, you know. This week I had planned to get so much done and it just didn't happen like that. It was literally a week of pretty much being in the house, taking medicine, taking temperatures, and just making sure that the kids were okay and just trying to do the things that I gotta do, y'all. So I have a poem. It's not titled, but I made this poem, I think on November the 3rd of this year. And it's just talking about how God helps me to be a mom. So here it is. You anoint my head with oil. I put ointment on his hurting skin. I sit and see him fight his eyes because of inflamed irritants. He guides his head towards my chest to find relief and comfort. I scratch his brows. He falls asleep. Grace comforts me to mother. You anoint my head with oil. I put prayer on her constant fears. We talk about the feels we feel. Hope that the words are crystal clear. She tells me that my cuddles comfort her, a sacred bunker. With all my kids, I'm rest assured. Grace comforts me to mother. And so the first verse was actually when Jace was, I thought of it when Jace was rubbing his eyebrows because he has eczema. And I was like, ointment, anoint. And I realized that sheep, they get oil on their heads to fight off insects and things of that sort. And I was thinking about when I put the ointment on his eyebrows is to help fight off the irritation. And so I was just like, wow. And God has been talking to me a lot through being a mom and just reminding me of how he is with us as his children and with us as his sheep. And I realized that Jace, he runs to me for comfort. Not runs because, you know, he an infant, but you know what I mean. He comes to me for comfort. He knows that I'm his comfort place. And today when I was looking at him coming to me for comfort by nursing, I realized that's how I need to come to God for comfort. The way that my son just latches on to me and is just like, he takes deep breaths because it just seems like he's so happy to finally be with me. And then he calms down and he falls asleep while he's still attached to me. I'm like, wow, I'm his source of food, but also his source of comfort. I am his provider. And it made me think of how I need to be like that with God. I need to be running to him, wanting to be filled up by his spirit, wanting to be laying on his chest, telling him about my day and bringing the worries and the fears and the discomfort that I have to him, and just allowing him to keep me at rest. And that was kind of where I got the first verse from. Well, not the first verse, but the first half from was from Jace. And then the second half was from my daughter. And when I look at her, I see a lot of myself in her, because she battles with the intruder trying to put thoughts in her head and constant worrying and fears of that sort. And so I sit with her and I try to teach her to talk about what she's feeling. And I really try to give her a listening ear and let her know that I'm here and how can we work through these feelings. And she tells me, Mommy, your cuddles, they make me feel safe, or when I'm with you, I feel safe. And I realize that's how I should be with God once again. And for a while, I was saying, my bad, y'all, it's 3 o'clock in the morning, but I was talking to my therapist and I was just saying how I want to feel back close with God again. And I think back to around 2014, maybe 2015, when I feel like I first got close to God, and it felt like me and him were tight. I talked to y'all about this in the previous video, and I realized that my daughter, with us now moving, with her now having to sleep in her own room again, that this new brings a bit of distance. Not that I'm not here with her, but that she's older now. She's able to do more things on her own now. And so that creates a little bit of, I gave you what you need. You can do it now. You can sleep in your room now. I gave you what you need. You don't need to breastfeed to sleep anymore. You can be okay just having a word about it and going to sleep. But she misses those moments when it was just like she was a kid. Well, not a kid, but when she was younger, and when she was really able to like stay in our room and go to sleep in our room and things of that sort. And she does say, I didn't know moving was going to be like this. I didn't know that I was going to have to do this more, do that more. And so I thought of it with God, how just because I don't feel like I'm super close with him right now, as in he's right beside me, doesn't mean that he's not right beside me. It may just mean that I'm a little bit more mature now. Just like with Jace, he's with me all the time because he's not able to do much on his own. Amar, she's still with me a lot, but she's not attached to my hip as much as Jace is, because she's able to do some things on her own because she's been trained up. She's naturally just been weaning off of baby, infant, toddler things. She's now 5 years old. Jace is younger than her. So with my kids, I'm able to see more of my growth with Christ and seeing that maturing, it is, it does hurt sometimes because I miss certain closeness. I miss, some of the things that it seems like, some of the things that I feel like I felt when I was first getting closer to God. But just like a baby transitions from milk to solid foods, I also have to transition and grow. So that doesn't mean that I'm doing anything bad, because I know that the numerology had me feeling very much distance from God, and there's still some recovery from that. But that also doesn't mean that there's just growth happening. So I hope y'all could understand what I was saying. I know, like I said, it's 3 o'clock in the morning, and I could be all over the place, but I think that the things that I'm saying, whoever is supposed to reach, it'll reach them. So I'm going to not sing, you see, I'm going to say the poem one more time. You anoint my head with oil. I put ointment on his hurting skin. I sit and see him fight his eyes because of inflamed irritants. He guides his head towards my chest to find relief and comfort. I scratch his brows. He falls asleep. Grace comforts me to mother. You anoint my head with oil. I put prayer on her constant fears. We talk about the feels we feel. Hope that the words are crystal clear. She tells me that my cuddles comfort her, a sacred bunker. With all my kids, I'm rest assured. Grace comforts me to mother, because he's the only one who's able to help me through all of this. So I hope that if you're especially a mother out there, that you can talk to God about what you're going through, because after this week, I was like, Lord, I need you. I need you to heal my babies. I need you to take away this sickness. I was praying bold prayers, and I don't really be praying like I need this gone by this time here and then, because I was like, if he don't deliver, all that other stuff. But I really needed him to come through for my babies. And Jace has been doing better. Even though it's been about a little bit over 1 full day since he was in the hospital, he's doing way better. He was laughing, playing, just in better spirits. And so I was so thankful to God. And the Bible verse from yesterday was talking about how he's with me through the waters. And that just gave me a little bit of comfort, because it felt like I was going through a lot of stuff. So just remember that if you're in Christ, he gives us the grace that we need to do what we need to do. But I hope y'all have a blessed night, blessed morning, and comment how this poem and everything made you feel. How did it speak to you? What do you feel like God was communicating, if anything? And thank y'all for listening. I hope y'all enjoy. Peace.